Hey everyone, welcome to HTXO Talks Hiking. I am sitting on the patio and I hope the background noise isn't too much for you guys. The weather is just so nice that I had to come out here and just work from the patio and enjoy it since we've had so much rain recently. So today we want to talk about hiking because a lot of what I hear around Houston, especially, is that there is no hiking in Houston. And I just want to go through over the next 3 days. So, this is a 3 day series. Over the next 3 days, I just want to quickly go through some of the top reasons people think or have trouble hiking in Houston and give you guys some solutions that might help get you out on the trails. I think I will be able to see your questions if you put them in the comment section. Um, Let me see here real quick. Don't want to do that. Okay, so I will try to check your questions throughout the presentation, but definitely at the end, I will look at the chat box and try to answer all of your questions. I don't think this is going to be very long today, and we are recording it, so if you are working and you need to jump off, you will have access to the video later. But try to make sure you stay until the end because we have a special invitation at the very end of the presentation today. So the first thing that we hear all the time is that there are no trails in Houston. And it's just not true. Houston does have an outdoor scene. There are actual dirt trails in Houston with hills, twists, and turns right inside the loop. Now, don't get me wrong, we're not promoting that Houston's outdoor scene is what you might expect from Denver or the Smoky Mountains. I mean, myself, I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. I lived in Phoenix, Arizona. I've lived in a lot of places and I've traveled a lot for hiking as well. And you just have to reset your expectations for what you're going to get in Houston because Houston doesn't have the same mountains, but that doesn't mean that you can't go hiking and that there isn't an outdoor scene here. I also used to be a raft guide, so I'm used to having clean water that you actually don't mind getting in. So there are some hidden spots that we're going to take you through over the next 3 days where you can just take advantage of what Houston does have to offer because it's not about replacing what you had before. That's just not going to happen and it's not a realistic expectation. But what you can do is make sure that you know the secret little oases around the town because you are in a city of over 2 million people. Okay, I mean, that's just a fact. We're the fourth largest city in the US. But there are places that you can go around town that will help you feel like you can take a break from the city life. Um, you can just go for a hike, forget about traffic, forget about work, forget about what you have to do at home. Just take an hour or so for yourself, even inside the loop, and just enjoy your surroundings. Spring is here, and so that means all the birds are out chirping, wildflowers are growing, the weather is starting to change, and we're going to get into that in a little bit more in a second. I'm going to stop for just 1 second and see if I can see the chat box. Okay, no comments so far in the chat box, so I think you can all hear me, and I will continue. So there are places that you can go to feel secluded from the rest of the 2 million people that live here. And that's what we hope to help you see over the next couple of days. So first being the trails at Memorial Park. Memorial Park has more than just that 3-mile loop that you see everybody running around. In fact, sometimes when I'm going out there to go hiking, the 3-mile loop is completely packed. There are cars everywhere. I go to the other side of the park. It's easier to find a spot to park, and a lot of times you hardly even see anybody out there, especially once you hit the trails. And so it's inside the loop. It's easy to get to. There's over 6 miles of trails out there, and they're dirt trails. Some of them are being fixed up from Harvey. They got damaged in the storm, but there's still plenty of mileage out there for you to take a break and submerge yourself in the outdoors. Okay. The next things that we hear about Houston hiking is it's too hot or it's too cold to go hiking. It kind of feels like we're never really quite satisfied with the weather here. It's too hot, it's too cold, it's too wet. We're going to get to that one next. But with it being February and going into March, now is the perfect time to start because the weather is going to be fabulous coming up soon. Hopefully this spout of rain is going to be on the last that we get for a little bit, but and give us a break before it gets too hot, because if you start hiking now before it gets too hot, you won't feel the temperature change as much. You'll get acclimated a little bit more. We were actually out hiking one day and somebody was talking about how this lady was carrying her baby in one of the baby backpacks up this really steep hill, and you almost feel bad walking next to them because you're just carrying yourself. But they got acclimated, right? Like they got used to carrying the baby over time. They didn't just pick the baby up one day and decide to go on a hike. And it's the same thing with the weather. So if you start going out there now, you're not going to notice the change as much. So, and plus all the wildflowers are coming out. This is a picture of a trail on Brays Bayou. This one's a paved trail, but still the wildflowers are going to be popping up everywhere. And it just makes it that much more enjoyable to be outside. Next is it's too cold. Sorry. Hold on one second. I can't tell if your slide is blue. It's blue on my side. So the next slide is that it's too wet. Let me just start that over really quick just so that I can make sure you can see it. Oh. I think I lost my presentation. So while I upload this again, I'm just going to talk about that some more. Sorry, let me start the upload again. Sorry about that. Okay, while that uploads, I'll keep talking, and hopefully we have it by the time we finish. So the last part, or the next part, is it's too wet out. Now, Houston does get a lot of rain, and we have experienced this spring more than we have in the most recent years. So if you're new to Houston, this is more rain that we've gotten in the last several years. So it does rain a lot here. But I will say we had a hike scheduled for the Lone Star Trail on Saturday, and I checked the weather all night and woke up at 5 a.m. and started checking the weather again. And finally, around 7 a.m., I decided that we should still do the hike. We were going on the Lone Star Trail, so the storm looked like it was on the very edge of the Lone Star Trail. And so I decided, let's just try it. Bring your rain jackets. We might get wet. And so we went out there. We hiked 6.8 miles, and it didn't rain at all during the hike. As we saw the parking lot come into our view, we heard thunder starting, so we picked up our pace just a little bit, got back to the parking lot, and within 2 minutes of getting to the parking lot, it started raining. It started pouring down rain, so we made it just in time. And so if you know what to look for when you're looking at the weather, you can still enjoy the outdoors and find little pockets. This was not the first time that we had done this either. So actually 2 other events this week, we happened to find pockets in between the rain where we had fun. So for example, we played sand volleyball on Monday, and driving out to Side Out Volleyball Bar, the sky was really dark and it was uninviting, and I was like, oh, it looks like it's going to rain, but we decided to go anyway because they had a full bar there and an indoor area and a large covered patio. So, you know, if it started to rain, it's like, okay, it doesn't matter, we'll still hang out and have fun. But it didn't rain at all, and we were able to play volleyball and everybody had a great time. So I think my slideshow, yep, here we go. Got my slideshow back. Oh, that's not the right one. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so at the end of the presentation, I'm going to give you a link that goes to a blog post where we talk about how we read the weather and how we make decisions on when we should do an event and when we should cancel. So that can help you try to figure out how to find some places in the rainy season to still enjoy the outdoors. Going to try this presentation again because I want you to see the link at the end, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. I'll just give you the link. Okay. Okay, try that one more time. Okay, so the presentation was my cliff notes. So anyway, the point is that it does rain a lot here, but there are ways you can still enjoy the outdoors. If you're willing to be a little flexible and you're not worried about getting wet, then we can do it. There we go. I found my presentation again. There we go. Okay. Oh. Okay, so those are three things. One, there are trails in Houston. It's too hot, it's too cold. If you start hiking now, it's not going to be too hot, it's not going to be too cold, it's going to be perfect, and then you'll be acclimated. Of course, it can get too hot at some point in the summer. People still hike all throughout the summer, but for some, it does get too hot in the summer. But most states, there are at least 1 or 2 months of the year that you don't want to go outside. So in Texas, it just happens to be, you know, around July or August. But some people still continue to hike year round, and you can do it. Just make sure you're starting now so that you can get acclimated. And then at the end of the slide, I'm going to give you the link again for our tips on looking at the weather. And for joining us today, we have a private invite that we want to tell you about. But first, really quick, up tomorrow at the same time at noon, we're going to talk about how to find trailheads, how not to get lost, and what you need for hiking so that you can hit the trails. Because we do know one of the big reasons people don't start hiking, especially in new areas or if they've never hiked before, is because they're scared to go and not even be able to find where the beginning of the trail is. I know I've done that many times. So we're going to get into that in a little bit more detail tomorrow and help you through it. So if you want to start hiking now with us, we would like to invite you to our full moon hike. We have closed this down to we've closed this down to the public because it was getting so big. Our full moon hike in August had over 200 people, and so we decided to make it members only. But we would like to invite you as a special treat to join us, and we'll show you some of the trails in Houston. So if you go to www.htxoutdoors.com/hiking, then you can find a link to RSVP to come with us on the full moon hike. We only have 10 spots available for you, so the first 10 people will get the invitation. We'll email you the invitation. But still sign up even if you think you're not going to be the first 10, because we have some other events coming up in the future that we want to be able to invite you to as well. So come and have some fun with us. We're going to hit the trails, and afterwards we're going to have a picnic in the park. So those are just a couple of quick tips on how to start hiking in Houston. Tune in tomorrow. Let me check real quick if we have any questions on Facebook. I don't want to leave you guys hanging. If you have any questions, you can also email me at HTXoutdoors, amyhope@htxoutdoors.com, and I will answer any questions that you have. See you guys tomorrow.